Greetings. Welcome for your first time if you're listening to this particular channel for the first time. Que pasa to all my amigos out there. You're now tuned in to 13signsastrology.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna on this episode shed some light on a particular subject that I think that a lot of people fear. Matter of fact, I know that a lot of people fear. And on this episode, I'm going to talk about death. I want to talk about death. I've been doing a lot of consultations lately, been answering a lot of emails. And for some reason, lately, people have been asking me some real deep questions pertaining to my views on life and death, my views on heaven and hell. And they asked me, they say, Brother Ram Hotep, there was a particular consultation I did yesterday where the brother actually asked me on the phone, but this is not even just directed towards him. So if you're watching this video, this is not directed towards you, because this is a question that's been coming up like all week for some reason. And they're like, Brother Ram Hotep, what is your views on, studying all this metaphysics and getting into all of these different books? And I hear you get into all of these different rituals. And then some of these rituals, they may seem a little bit satanic. Some of these rituals and some of these books that you refer me to seem a bit anti-Christian or anti-God even. Some of these books are written by people that would deem to be so-called Satanists. Some of these people, they worship what's called the Baphomet. And don't you think that there's consequences for researching stuff like this, and consequences for looking into information like this? Like, isn't there some form of a judgment that's going to take place? And is there a possibility that based off the information that you teach and information that you study, is there a possibility that you could be judged for misleading people and people going to hell, or people going into some form of an afterlife, of a dark existence? And basically they want to know my views on, like, do I even, as an astrologer, do astrologers even believe in hell, in heaven? And then a lot of people, they watch my video called We're in Hell. And in that video, I talk about how the earth is basically hell. You're in hell right now. And you might want to watch that video to kind of go more in depth. But they think based off of that I believe that once the body dies, that there's nothing after this. Like, this is pretty much it. And once the body dies, there's no other state of existence after this. And that's definitely not what I believe in. That's definitely not something that I guess, accept as a doctrine in my own mind. So what I want to do in this video is I want to make it more plain and make it more clear about what this life is really all about. Or on some levels, for some of you, it may be what this death is all about. Because when you study spirituality, which leads you even into law, because even in law, you're either the living soul or you're basically a fictitious person, or fiction, or basically the name in all capital letters, which is a fictitious person. And you look at the name in all capital letters, and you'll notice on the tombstone, when your name is in all capital letters on the tombstone, that means you're dead. So when you identify with that, even in law, you're identifying with and saying that you are dead. And you have to be a living soul. And a living soul will act as an agent in assisting the dead, which is really a trust or an estate. And I know this is not a law video, but it's the same thing applies. You see, in metaphysics, You see, some of people out there are dead. There's different levels of existence. And if you really want to understand this, you're going to have to get into researching the Emerald Tablets to really understand life, death, heaven, and hell. Because some people, you're existing in a state of chaos, which means that you have really no control over your life. And if you exist in a state of chaos, this means that you are dead. You're dead because you have no total control. So this means that other parties have to do things for you on your behalf. And the way that the Matrix is set up right now, a lot of people are dead. Why? Because they have not become aware. You're in a state, or you're on a plane to where you can become aware. There is the potential for you to become aware, but you have not become aware. So I want you to really follow me on this video. I want you to really pay attention, because I know people thinking, well, this is supposed to be a video about death and the afterlife, and you said that you were going to kind of like talk about your views on that. So why are you talking about law, and why are you talking about being dead, and the Matrix, and people existing in chaos? What does this have to do with anything? You'll see it has to do with everything. See, everything that happens on this plane of existence happens in a circle. And there's different circles. But everything in creation is based upon a circle. This is why the phallus is like a circle. This is why the womb of the vagina is like an oval or like a circle, because everything that comes into manifestation on this planet comes into manifestation through a circle. So as an astrologer, what do I believe as far as the afterlife? How does an astrologer look at the afterlife when the soul leaves the body? Is this it? Is this basically once we leave this vessel, or this, what the Egyptians call this khat, and when the ba, which is the soul, leaves the khat, is this it? Is there any type of existence after this? That's what I'm going to get into today. So if you look at the natal chart, your natal chart, you are looking at your life. And your natal chart is a circle. If you notice, it's a circle. And it's divided up into denominations. There's 12 different denominations. And these different denominations represent what's called really illusions. These are what's called illusions. And when you were born here on this plane of manifest, you came from the realm of chaos. You came from the realm of chaos. So you came from actually the plane of light. And there's levels to getting here to this particular plane. So you came from the realm of light. This is why the basis of astrology deals with light. Light is actually frequency. We can't hear it, but we can see it. But believe it or not, light is a level of frequency. There's different levels of light. You have different levels on what's called the UV spectrum. And I write about this in my book, Solar Biology Part 1. So I suggest you get that and then watch this video in relationship to reading that particular book. So you have different levels of light, and these different levels of light shape and fashion this plane of manifest, or what we call creation. So you came from, as a soul, you came from light, and then you go into what's called chaos. Now this is before you get here. This is before you are actually born. So you go into a realm of what's called chaos. And the realm of chaos is similar to being in the womb of the mother. This is a level of chaos, but actually the level of chaos starts before you even go into the womb of your mother. So the realm of chaos actually starts when you as a soul set up a scenario where you put your parents together, Like your mother and your father, you chose your mother and your father, and you put them together in a magical ritual so that you can create a means and a way to get back here. And you do this through scent, and you do this through what's called the realm of attraction. You make them attracted to each other in a certain way because the the the, the child wants to come through. It needs a portal to come through. And in the book of Thoth, when it talks a lot about portals. So this is a magical ritual even getting here. You have to create a magical ritual or even a spell even to get here. So from that level, once the parents engage in physical intercourse and getting together, you created this scenario. And this is called chaos. So now you are in the realm of chaos. And once the mother conceives you, she takes the sperm, and the sperm and the ovum meet. This is called conception. You are now in the realm of chaos. And you stay in the realm of chaos on stages of actually 9 months, which is 3 different stages. Everything in creation manifests in threes. And I'm going to do a video on the number 3, so I'm not going to talk about everything about the number 3 here, but all creation happens in threes. I was just like I was saying on another video, there's really only 3 numbers, 1, 2, and 3, and then you just go over and over again, 1, 2, and 3. So even 4, 5, and 6 is related to 1, 2, and 3. So you are staying in your mother's womb for 9 months in this realm of chaos. Now when you are born, this is what happens. When you are born and the umbilical cord is cut, you have to realize that your ba, or your soul, has not incarnated into your vessel. And this is what a lot of people don't realize. Your ba, or your soul, has not incarnated into your vessel. So when you were born, your ka is what actually incarnates first. And some people say that the Egyptians taught that the ka is actually the spirit. But the ka is even more so than the spirit. It's the shadow self. That's right, the shadow self. So this is why in Vedic astrology, we teach that when we go into the doctrine of Vedic astrology, we teach that the moon is actually the first sign that the child experiences, or that the baby experiences. A baby acts more like its moon sign than its sun sign. Your sun sign represents your ba, or your soul. Your ka is your moon sign. So when you're first born, what I'm saying here is that you are actually your shadow self, the dark aspect of yourself. Why? Because you come into this realm of chaos, and you're in this realm of what's called illusion. And the goal of this realm is to discover the soul. The soul cannot fully incarnate into the body unless you become aware of the soul. So there's 3 circles. The realm of light, which is where you come from, the realm of chaos, and then there's the realm of awareness. And some people call this being conscious. And if you notice that when you learn things, when you become conscious, and you hear people, different conscious teachers speak, no matter who they are, no matter, what type of teacher they are, you'll always hear people say, I knew that, or I felt that, or yeah, I already kind of knew that. Like everything you're saying, was it confirmed stuff that was already in my heart. And this is because a teacher is really not teaching you anything. A teacher is making you aware, or causing you to remember. So the goal of this planet, or being in this matrix, or being in this school, or being on Earth, is to become aware. Now, what does this have to do with life and death? That's what I'm going to get into now. What does this have to do with the afterlife? So those people that aren't aware are dead. And we're all dead on different levels. This is why different teachers like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was really a metaphysician, whether he realized it or not, he said that we are mentally dead. He called, at that time, he was talking about the Negro, or the so-called black man. He said the black man is mentally dead to the knowledge of himself or herself. Well, I could take that a step further and say that any man or woman that is not aware of themselves, you're dead. This is a death. And awareness is on different levels. You have to be aware of the physical, terrestrial. It's 3 levels actually to awareness. And we've just talked about them. Let's talk about them again. You have to be aware of the terrestrial aspect of yourself, which is your body, the earth aspect, which goes into your nationality, which goes into your ancestry line. You have to be aware of the spiritual aspect of yourself. And the spiritual aspect of yourself is knowing about your shadow self, the dark side of yourself, and knowing about your body as far as on a level of breath, understanding your body when it comes to its faculties and functions, like your psychology, that aspect of yourself. And then you have to be aware of what's called the soul. And the soul is the light or the true self. This is your higher self. See, the spiritual part of yourself is not necessarily your higher self. There can be people that are spiritual, but they're not totally aware. This is why a lot of conscious people, they say, I'm spiritual, I'm in the spiritual movement. Well, just because you're spiritual does not mean you're necessarily aware, cognizant, or totally what some people would call conscious. Yeah, you spiritual, you understand certain things. You know, you spiritual just means vibing with something, really, or being attracted to something. Sex is spiritual, but many people have sex unaware. This is why it's even different levels to sex and things like that. So you have to first understand that. Then the next thing you have to understand is that there's 13 different illusions here on this planet. 13 different illusions. And this is the magic trick. This is what some people say that the reptilians use and different extraterrestrials. This is what they use to keep the soul trapped in cycles of reincarnation. Because the goal of life is to discover the true self, the higher self. But many people never discover this because they're trapped into cycles and cycles and phases of reincarnation. Which basically means that if you're trapped, this is how you get trapped. You're born, you come here, and you come here and you might do good. You know, you work your job and you never hurt anybody. You know, you were good. This is what like a good so-called Christian is supposed to be, right? You know, you work your job and you harm no one and you don't do anything to anybody. You come home and you take care of your kids, your children and whatnot. And most people feel like, well, if I do that, I'm going to make it to heaven. I'm going to make it, you know, to the higher realms. I'm going to make it back with my Father. And it doesn't end up happening for a lot of people. And we even have proof of this. I'm speaking with one of my relatives the other night. We were talking about this subject. She was talking about how it's a Christian woman now. Christian woman she was on her deathbed. And if you notice that when people, they get on their deathbed, they always talk about seeing this light. And most of them, when you read these experiences, because I mean, there's books on this too, like a lot of books on this, you know, when it deals with the light and God being a light and all of this. Even this book, the Emerald Tablets, talks a lot about this. But this is an actual experience that a lady on YouTube experienced or whatever. She talks about how she was on her deathbed and she saw the light. She was attracted to the light. She wanted to go. Like, she wanted to leave this place. It was such a beautiful place. And she began to hear a voice that was connected to the light. And the voice told her that it's not time for you. You can't come here. You can't come here because it's not time. You haven't experienced, you haven't discovered everything that there is to know about yourself. And the voice told her that you are a good Christian, but you judged people. You looked at people that were married, that had sex outside of marriage, and you judged them. You looked at people that may have an alternative lifestyle sexually, and you judged them. So she was not able to go to heaven, and she had to come back into her vessel. And they said that, yeah, you've helped. She was a humanitarian. She helped a lot of people and everything, but her judgment stopped her from going. What was really going on here? See, what really happened with her was that she got caught up into the illusion. And this is why the Emerald Tablets, you can't understand life and death unless you read these Emerald Tablets. If you really want to truly understand the afterlife, this life, and even death, because you come from the state of death before you even get here. It's a circle, remember? So you came from death to get to this life. This is actually a transitional place. Some people call this the Duat, the underworld. That's why when I say this is hell, this can be a hell. This can also be a heaven. It can definitely be a heaven for the masters only. And I'll try to cover that before this video shuts down. But she was not able to make it. And it was a lot of the stuff that the light was telling her was stuff that we learned in metaphysics. And it was so interesting because this lady didn't know anything about metaphysics before she went and had this meeting with this light. And it was telling her that she needs to understand and overstand non-judgment. There was more to the spiritual realm than what she was really aware of. Basically, what the light was telling her in essence, beloved, was that she was not conscious enough. She was not conscious enough. Even though she was a good person, it was more to this life that she didn't become conscious of. And why? Because she got caught in a illusion. She got caught in a illusion. And remember I just told you there's 13 different illusions here on this plane. And the only way to understand the 13 different illusions is to understand the 13 signs of the zodiac. Got to understand. Some people say there's 12 illusions. When you read the Emerald Tablets, the Emerald Tablet says that there's 12 illusions according to their interpretation. But I know that there's 13 because there's a hidden aspect. The 13 was not discussed in ancient Egypt and Kemet, even though they knew about it because they knew about the 13 different patterns or the 13 different degrees of sacred geometry. So they definitely knew about the number 13, but it was only the high up initiate and the high up master was only allowed to learn about the number 13. But the number 13 or the 13th illusion is really the understanding of all the other illusions. That's what the 13th illusion is. So some people say, well, there's 12 signs of the zodiac. You can say that, that's fine. That just means you're not aware of the fact that really you're all of the signs of the zodiac, which is the number 13 sign. The number 13 sign is the awareness of the fact that you are all of the signs of the zodiac. So when you talk about 13 signs astrology, it's not just a fucus that we're speaking of here. A fucus represents all of the different signs of the zodiac, all of the different elements, all of the polarities, masculine and feminine, locked into one sign. So this is the understanding and walking you through the understanding of each sign. So there's 12 or 13 different illusions. She got caught up into one version. You can almost look at this like versions of the Matrix or versions of a particular software. And imagine there's 13 different levels to a video game, right? And imagine you as the player, you master level 1. And you feel like, I beat the game. I did everything I was supposed to do. I mastered level 1. So I did everything I was supposed to do. And then you try to go into the realm of light and you end up being attracted back to the body because there was more for you to see. That's right, there was more for you to see and more for you to experience so that you could discover your true self. See, she came back because she didn't discover her true self. So I believe in the experiences that Christians, when they talk about the light and them seeing the light, I definitely believe in that. Like, I definitely believe that there's something after this realm. Why? Because it would be foolish for me not to believe. If I'm talking about reincarnation, and people asking me this question, if I'm talking about all of that, then of course I believe that there's something after this. You know, some people, they ask me like, well, don't you fear the devil? Like, don't you fear going to hell, like doing certain deeds and then going into a dark place? What is that? And for one thing, I don't believe in a devil with a pitchfork. People say, well, what is the devil? The devil just means a rebel. That's all a devil is. It's just someone that's a rebel. That's an illusion in and of itself. And these illusions, I'll digress a little bit before I talk about the dark aspect of life. These illusions is what these extraterrestrials use to keep us trapped here over and over again. Because most people, they never get a chance to experience multiple illusions in one life. And this is why they never discover their true self. Most people are trapped into one mode in their life. Like you're locked into one mode. And what makes a master, because it talks a lot about the master, what makes a master is the master is one who understands all the different versions. He can come into this version and walk you out of that version. He can come into that version, he can come on that level and walk you out of that level. So he mastered all 13 levels. This is what makes him a master. So as a master, I understand the devil and Lucifer and what these terms mean, and I could walk a person out of it. This is why I could do a ritual, a left-hand path ritual. See, a master transmutes evil. This is what a master does once you become a master. You learn how to transmute evil. People have evil intentions of me all the time. All the time. I mean, even right now, some people watching this video, they praying for the day that Ram Hotep falls. But a master takes that energy and transmutes that energy and does good. And a master assists. So you transmute evil. So you got to work with, a master works with evil people. As a master, yeah, you work with your enemies. You work with the evil people. Oh yeah, you got to put everything, energy is neither created or destroyed, it just changes form. So a master comes into the evil. It comes into the evil mindset. It takes that mindset and transmutes it. Transmute. You see the term mute. Quiets the mind. And then assists them into becoming good. And sometimes you got to go within the shit to do that. And a master uses, what makes one a master is he's mastered discrimination. He's a discriminator. So a master is basically one that knows how to make decisions. Is a master at choices. So this is what, when I do consultations for people and with people, I'm assisting you in making choices. See, I was deemed a Melchizedek. I did a ritual to become Melchizedek, and I met a Melchizedek last year in 2013. And at the end of the year, this Melchizedek told me that I was Melchizedek. He said, "You've now made it into the order of Melchizedek. You are now one of us." And I'll do a video on Melchizedek to help you to understand that. So I am qualified. I don't care how, some people know how old I am, and I'm a young man, but I'm a Melchizedek. And a Melchizedek, that's the only way that you will become a master, is to become Melchizedek or Thoth, same person. So I understand everything that's in these tablets. All of it. So no, I don't fear the darkness. Now the dark aspect is definitely a part of reality. The dark aspect is just chaos. What makes us free from the darkness is knowledge. And fear is what keeps us trapped in it. So what the reptilians use, or the dark lords use, they use fear to keep you trapped into darkness. And only the initiated, and I'm not talking about no Masonic initiation, I'm talking about the occult initiated, the initiated in meditation. See, you guys haven't been initiated, a lot of people haven't been initiated in meditation. You did your mundane initiations, you may be 33rd degree, whatever, this, that, got all these titles, Grand Potentate, Supreme Grand Hierophant, and all this type of stuff, but you're not initiated. See, only the initiated can make it into heaven. This is why she came back into the body, which is a middle path actually. And then there's some people that see darkness. You can watch the movie Ghost, and it talks about this. And some people, when they die, they see a dark state, and it's a lot of fear associated with what they see. Like when they're on their deathbed, they basically were like, I was finna go to hell. And this is on YouTube too. There are people that talk about this stuff like that aren't even into metaphysics, and they'll tell you about their experiences. You should Google it. They'll tell you about their experiences about heaven and hell and life and death. And they'll say when they were on their deathbed, they felt an extreme, tremendous amount of fear. And they came back, and all of a sudden, these are the people that come back when they have a near-death experience, and they come back doing good. They might have been a murderer, a thief, never did anything for anybody, and they were on their deathbed, and for some reason, based on a miracle, or whatever you want to call it, a miracle, I'll do a video on miracles, because that's a whole loaded word in and of itself, but based on a miracle, this person came back into their body and they're helping people and they're doing good and they're just humanitarian, and this is because they seen the darkness of the real chaos. See, if you think this is hell, this is just a version. Like when I say this is hell, we're in hell. Yeah, this is hell only to people that don't know how to make right decisions and people that aren't conscious and aware. When you become conscious, you can actually experience heaven, and you can experience being in the light. I'm going to show you or tell you how to do that. I can't really show you unless we go in meditation together, but I'm going to tell you how that works before this video closes down, to where you can be in heaven and still be living in this cot, in this body. And you can go there all the time. That realm of light that she couldn't get into and she couldn't make it, and she heard that voice and she had to go back. Her spirit, she didn't have enough chi, and her spirit was not able to make it there, so she had to come back into this realm of decisions. But then there's another realm, a dark realm, that your soul could be attracted to, and it's very dark, and the voices there are very evil, and a lot of times they don't even speak to you. A lot of times there aren't any voices. You might just see there's just people looking at you with dark figures around, dark auras around them, looking at you. And some people call this the devil. Watch that movie Ghosts. It'll really break that down. The demons come take the man away that was doing evil. He was like a robber and robbing people and stuff. I think it was Patrick Swayze was in that movie. It's a really good movie to understand what I'm talking about here. So even Christians can relate to this. So that's the hell. That's the truth. Hell is not no fire or a burning. In the video, I think I talked about this in the video called "We're in Hell." In that video, I talked about how hell is a burning. You're burning right now. You're burning based upon the ethers. This is why you're warm. You're burning up right now. So this can be hell right now. So hell is not about fire and burning and some guy with a pitchfork and you being scared of that. It's about your own fears. This is what puts you in hell. What do you fear? This could turn into your hell. A lot of people, they go do evil. See, evil is what attracts you to hell, doing evil deeds. Evil. There's a veil. That's what evil is, an energy veil. I talked about this on another video. So when you talk about evil, E is an energy and then the veil. So all evil is just an energy veil blocking you from the light. And you go do evil because you're ignorant and you're in a state of chaos. So you go out and rob someone and want to take from somebody else's what's theirs because you're in a state of chaos, beloved, in your mind. This is what makes you evil, because you don't know that money is nothing but an energy and you can attract it another way. So you feel like you need to go out and murder that man, and you do murder for hire and go and kill that man to go take his money and do stuff like that. That's evil. Evil is when you go infringe upon somebody else's free will. So will you go to hell for reading some metaphysical book? No, because that's just knowledge. But what you do with that knowledge can determine what you experience. There are some people that get into this and they do evil because they get into this, but they're still ignorant because they're locked into a paradigm and they're locked into a certain frequency of the knowledge. And a master is one who studies it all. This is why I could read books on Satanism and then turn around and read the Emerald Tablets, because I understand what Satanism, how it relates to the Emerald Tablets. I understand that this is just a version of the Matrix. So when I read that book, that's just a version. So that's the real darkness. Yeah, there is a place that you can go and experience after this. Like I was telling the guy in the consultation, imagine the guilt that you feel from going out and murdering someone. And people that have murdered someone know what I'm talking about. They done did time or whatever. Imagine the guilt that you feel from going out and murdering someone. And imagine living in that state of guilt forever. So you can't choose to feel any different. You can't feel a different way. See, we have choices here all the time. We even can choose how we feel. But once you get to a certain level of darkness, and once you leave this body, if you embrace your shadow self totally and say, fuck the bar, I don't want to know about the bar or the soul, I just want to know about the shadow self, you can get into a state of perpetual evil or perpetual guilt or perpetual shame or even perpetual ignorance. For people that just like are negative and they want to be ignorant. See, it's one thing that like the lady that was attracted to the light and she was judging people, but that's not evil. That's not what I'm talking about here. Just because she was making judgments on people, that just means that she didn't have enough chi to experience the light and total bliss. She was not at peace because her spirit was still angry about some things about, you know, maybe people and the lifestyles that they were living. So she had more to learn. That's all that was. She just needed to know more. That's one level to it. But these people that are evil are more so, these emotions are dark emotions that play themselves out based upon deeds and decisions that they make. They always choose the darkness. So they always choose to be negative. No matter what somebody's saying positive, they're always going to see the negative aspect of it. They always want to hurt people and hurt people's feelings. They want to, like, they see somebody doing right or has a problem, or, you know, they may be handicapped or something. They want to laugh at that person and say something about that person. That's evil, because you're judging people, but then you're judging people to hurt them. You're infringing upon this person's free will, because this person, what if they're an empath and they can feel what you're saying about them, and that's going to impede that person's growth. Now, that person that you may be laughing at and judging, they have an obligation to overcome what you're saying. They can't become the victim and say, oh, these people laugh at me, I'm handicapped, and everybody just makes fun of me, and I really couldn't experience life. And when they go and talk to the light, or talk to Anu, what we would call it in ancient Kemet, or talk to Ra, and they say, well, oh, Ra, or oh, Anu, I couldn't really make it into your world or whatever because they were laughing at me, so I really didn't get a chance to experience everything in this world because I was too busy worried about what people thought about me. That's your problem, and you can still come back. That means that's why you got to come back, because now you let that person limit you. You have to be limitless in this life. So that's the darkness. Now, I want to talk about the three hindrances, and then I'll talk about experiencing how you can to determine where you're going to make it to right now. There's a test you can do right now. You don't have to wait till you get on your deathbed and get hit by a car and all that stuff. That's just them. They didn't know about the metaphysics of spirituality and the metaphysics of meditation, but I'll explain to you how you can experience where you're going to make it to and what you're going to see and how deep you are in the realm of illusion right now. We'll go into that in a minute. But there's three hindrances in that keeps people here. Like, if people always wonder what stops people from ascending, what is going to block, like how can I get out of here? I don't want to come back here anymore. You got to get through the three hindrances. And one of them is lack of endeavor to obtain knowledge. This is in the Emerald Tablets. I'm reading from the Emerald Tablets here. So I'm not making this stuff up. This is in the Book of Life. Lack of endeavor to obtain knowledge. That's a hindrance. So this is a person that they may have did everything right. They may have been a good Christian and paid all their taxes, and they never hurt anybody, and they raised their family, but you didn't seek out knowledge. You didn't go and read books. You didn't try to see more to this life. You didn't go and travel to the sacred sites to learn more. You just stayed in your little box. That's lack of endeavor to obtain knowledge. You're trapped. You're locked into your own spell. So that's a hindrance. This is how people get stuck here, because they don't have enough knowledge to make it into God, to make it to back to God, if you want to call him God, or the light. I would call him the light, or Ra, or Anu. You didn't have enough knowledge to make it back to that. So you're locked into your own spell or whatever, and you lacked the ability to obtain knowledge. The second hindrance will be non-attachment to God or to the Most High. So these are people that they don't really, God means good. Like, when I think about God, the term God on this level of when we're talking about spirituality, when people say God, I think about good. When people say the devil, I think about the evils or the vills. So this is how I look at it. So even I can listen to a Christian minister all day when they say, well, God, because, you know I did a video about God, and I understand it means gold, oil, and drugs, and there's different levels to it. But on a spiritual level, I don't get caught up in all of that programming. I can listen to someone talking about God, and I know what they're really talking about. They're talking about good. And some people, they're not attached to good. They're not attached to God or good. Means that they don't have an inclination towards, they don't feel a reason to do good. They're like, fuck doing good. I don't want to do good. I just want to do me. That's a hindrance. God is good. The Most High is good. The light is good. It's about perpetual bliss and happiness. And if you don't have an attachment to that, that's a thing. That's a hindrance. That's what's going to lock you here. And the last hindrance is the exact opposite, which will be the attachment to evil. So you're not attached to good, but you're attached to the vills, and you're attached to the illusions, the evils, the energy vills. So you're attached to all of these illusions and all of these circumstances and all of these addictions. These are illusions. This is what's going to hinder you from going to that world, and it's going to hinder you from making. There's different levels to that world. When you do go, when you do transpire, and your soul does go to this higher level, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make it as high as the ascended masters. And this is what's going to determine. You have to become an ascended master. You got to remember that in order for you not to come back, you have to become an ascended master. You may just be make it to a level of really being stuck on Earth. See, a lot of souls. You got to watch the movie Sixth Sense, and in the movie Sixth Sense, if you remember, he was dead. At the end of the movie, you see that. But the thing was, the lesson in that was the fact that he was stuck on Earth. And that he was like stuck in his in this illusion, still worrying about his wife, and caught up into his patients and the people that he helped. And this was because he was not an ascended master. When he was living in this life and in this world, he had so much of an attachment to his version of the Matrix that even when his soul transpired into the next life, he was still here. So he might have been in the light, but he was still here. But the good thing is that when you study the books on ascended masters, he could work out his karma. That's what he was doing. He was working out his karma on the other side by assisting people from the other side so he could free himself, so he could make it up there with the ascended masters. He wanted to go up there. And he probably went up there, and there's judges up there. There's actually 42 judges. And they talk about this in this book or whatever. There's 42 different judges, and you have to go and see all of them and check out all of them. And if you can't check out with all of them, you can't make it. You have to go back. And the 42 judges go into understanding the 3 levels of each illusion. The 3 levels of each illusion or whatever. And when you understand the 3 levels of each illusion, you'll understand how to make it through the 42 different judges. So it's pretty deep. It's pretty deep or whatever. I could talk about a lot more, but what I want to do is that now I want you to understand how you can determine as to whether or not where you're going to go once you leave this plane of manifest. And the reason why a lot of people get trapped here, I can explain to you right now all the stuff that I talked about in this video, the exercise that you could partake in to make it out of all of these illusions. You know what the exercise is? Meditation. Meditation. Meditation is number 1 in freeing yourself from the matrix. Meditation is number 1 when it comes to initiating yourself into the occult orders, into the orders of light and even dark. Meditation is key in mastering and decoding all of the different illusions. What do I mean by that? See, if that woman would have meditated and got deep into meditation, and those people that meditated know what happens when you first close your eyes. You start off in, just like I told you, you start off in the existence of chaos, just like I started this video, right? You first close your eyes, you start off in darkness. This is chaos. You can't see anything. You close your eyes right now, you're probably going to see darkness as long as you don't have any artificial lights around. Now, if you got some artificial lights around, you may see light, but it's just probably the light coming from the room that you're in, and you're seeing it through your eyelids. That's not the light that I'm going to talk about in a second. So when you close your eyes, you're going to see darkness. And then you're going to go through different breathing techniques. And remember I talked about things happening in 3s? Well, a spiritual master, when he takes you through meditation, he's going to take you through different cycles of breath in 3s. Everything is going to happen in 3s. So when you go into your meditation and you begin to breathe in 3s, which is, the breathing in 3s is inhaling, holding the breath, and exhaling. This is breathing in 3s. But then there's different levels to that even, because there's time periods and stuff like that. And the different time periods is how you get into your Merkaba and all of that type of stuff. I'm not going into all of that here, but my point is that when you close your eyes, you see total darkness. And the goal of meditation is to pierce the fog, which is the darkness, make it through the chaos, go through all the illusions, which is, you might close your eyes, first you see darkness. Then you might, once you get deep into it, you might start to see different illusions. Some people see shapes, sacred geometrical shapes. Some people see pyramids. Some people see situations playing out. This become illusions. Even when you dream, this happens. When you first go to sleep, you close your eyes, it's dark. Then when you start to dream, you start to see your dreams. These are illusions. Your dreams are illusions. And the goal of meditation is you got to get past the illusions. Most people never make it to this point. Once you get past the illusions, you're going to get into this place that's just total, pure light. Some people call this heaven. If you remember the movie, I think it was Bruce Almighty. And God existed in this like this white room. He had on a white suit, and it was just light, light. This is, you get into this place. This is the place that the lady on YouTube videos I was telling you about, she saw. This is what most Christians, when they're on their deathbed, they see this place that they thought was heaven. It was like a bunch of light, and they were like, "Oh, I want to stay there. It was so beautiful," and all that. And they couldn't make it there. You can actually go there all the time. And this is kind of like going to the, some people will say, going into the realm of Arulu. This is the higher realms in the Emerald Tablets, is what they call it, going into the realm of Arulu. And it has gates, different methods and ways of getting there. Arulu has gates. And Osiris is God over there, because Osiris is supposed to be dead or whatever. But Osiris is God, and he determines, okay, whether or not you're going to make it. I mean, you have different Egyptian gods like Anubis. He walks you there, or he's the one that takes you there. And then you have Osiris once you get there, or the Sardu. And he is God, and he is God in the sense of, he determines, okay, you're going to make it in, or nah, you got to go back. You didn't make it or whatever. But in meditation, you can actually see this. You might even start to speak with this light. This light can give you information. So when the lady said that she was giving all this information about her life and what she was doing wrong, she didn't have to be on her deathbed or just got hit by a car to make it to that level. The only reason why she made it to that level when she got hit by a car is because she didn't know how to tap into that part of her mind. And a lot of times when you're in surgeries and things of that nature, most people, they go to this place when they're in surgeries or they're on their deathbed, because this is the only time that they've ever calmed their mind to see this place that's programmed inside of you to see. So most people, they're trapped in their shadow self. They only discover that part, or they only learn about that part. They never discovered their soul. And you have to fully discover your soul to make it there. So when you go there in meditation, you're gonna see what's really going on with yourself and what's holding you back on a lot of different levels. This is why people that come out of prison, a lot of times they come out so enlightened, those people that master meditation, because they've been in this place so many times and they've worked on themselves on so many different angles that they're cool. They don't need to have sex. See, sex is a form of chaos if you don't understand it. That's all that is. Especially for us men. You put your phallus into that womb, that's the black hole, buddy. It's nothing but chaos. As soon as you start doing it, you're going to get all thrown off and get all emotional, and that's going to totally throw off your spiritual experience. So really, in order to even see this room, not only is it key that, and for women too, you get that good phallus, you get that good wood, and you get the going all off the place, all off track, all off, your mind is just totally gone, and you're emotional. You're caught up into these illusions even more because you're having sex. This is really, sex is spiritual. So this is really tampering with the shadow self. Remember I said spirit is trapped into the shadow self. So this is why a lot of people that have sex, they can't even understand this. You have to take a period of time where you understand that you don't need sex. That's right, you don't need sex. And you, not only that, then you go into meditation. I believe that a lot of people that have lucid dreams and clairvoyant dreams and all of that, it's not just their diet, because diet is key and not eating the meats and stuff like that, but it has a lot to do with, can you abstain and withhold your semen? I mean, can you do that as a woman? Can you abstain and control your desires to want to, to want to be sexual and, to want to use that appeal to control men? Can you abstain from that? It's really, sex for most people is egotistical anyway. Can you overcome your ego, which is the false self anywhere, the illusionary self of wanting to feel like I'm sexy and I can do this and I'm that? And sex is very selfish a lot of times for a lot of people, but can you overcome that? That's what's going to determine as to whether or not you can really see these places that I'm talking about and make it to this height and make it to this level. I'm not saying sex is evil. I don't want people to think, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with sex. There's a purpose for it. The best sex is when you meet your twin flame or soulmate and you have a connection, a lifetime connection with them. You experience that with them, and even in that, you should do it in ritual, not just in lust. You should have sex with your twin flame or soulmate in ritual. You should be able to be with your twin flame or soulmate and you lay in a bed with them, and you guys may go a month without having sex. I mean, it's okay to be sexual, like sometimes you might want to have sex 3 or 4 times a day. And I mean, I'm like Ram Hotep, I'm a person, I'm sexual. Like if I get with someone that I really want to be with, I'm a very sexual person, but I understand that I'm not going to just go out here and share my energy with just anybody. I'm past that. So, I mean, I'm very sexual, so don't get it twisted like I'm the type of guy that, You know, like if I get into having sex with a woman or something like that, like I'm only gonna want to have sex once a month because I'm all on this spiritual level or we're pious and disciplined. No, but I'm saying my thing is that you should be able to experience that on a mental level. You should be able to go through that ritual and go through different experiences with your twin flame and soulmate on a mental level so you guys can build up enough chi. You should go through guided meditations together and have sex in that realm. You can have sex mentally on so many different levels. You should be able to astral project and have sex with your lover while she's at work. You see, you should be able to have sex with her mind. Sex is mental without even touching her, without even seeing her, even. So there's different levels to that thing there when it comes to sex or whatever, but all of this is a part of the illusion. In order to make it to the light, and what you're going to see when you get in meditation, you have to be able to pierce all of that and make it to this light to get the real information that you need to learn about your soul and who you are as a soul, because that's what you are as a ba. And some people see darkness. They get into meditation. These are people, you know, something may be wrong with your spirit, man. You need to check. Are you living off your shadow self? Some people, they get meditation and they see nothing but darkness. They get into meditation, they feel nothing but fear, and they can't even stay there long because they start breathing, they get scared, heart start beating fast, and they're like, I can't do this, like I'm thinking about too much, or I can only sit for about 5-10 minutes. I can't do this, and that's because something you're not right within yourself. It's something you're wrestling with within yourself, and what's going to happen is that if you end up transpiring and going to the other side, you're going to go to a state of darkness. And that hell that I was talking about, you're going to go into a perpetual state of hell where you're locked into your own emotions if you don't get it right. Some people, they go into meditation and they just think about the problems that they have. They can't really go all the way to the light. All they see is all their problems. These are people that when you transpire and go to the other side, you're going to be like a witness and you're going to be sitting there looking at these problems. Like say for instance, like you have problems like that you always wanted to have a relationship with your child. And throughout your life, you just never make that connection with your child. And say, for instance, you die. What's going to happen is that when you die, you're going to be sitting there being a witness to your child and right there next to your child, trying to control the situations that happen in their life so that you could be free. Because really, to make it out of here, to make it out of this place, it's all about liberation, man. It's about liberating oneself, freeing oneself from the desires of this realm. So I know I said a lot here. I didn't plan for this segment to be so long, but it was a lot to be said. I mean, there definitely is, I guess you could say, other worlds or other realities outside of this one and outside of this matrix. I definitely believe that. But the thing is that most people will never experience this while in the body. And they never see this while in the body. And that's how they end up going there haphazardly. And like when they die and they don't even know they're dead. It's because you never really tapped into meditation. You never really got a chance to understand that world in this life. So that's what I do on here on this channel. That's what really astrology is about. Astrology is teaching you about that world. Each of those planets, I can go and talk for hours or whatever about this particular topic because each of those planets links into that world. Venus links into the other world. Mercury links into the other world. All of these things are different lessons that you have to experience. All these planets, plan ET. When you see the term planets, you see plan ET. So these are planets or plans that you have to work out in this life. And if you don't, you'll work them out in the next life through the planets. So as an astrologer, indeed, we definitely believe in life after death. And we definitely believe in, you could say, versions of heaven and versions of hell. And we definitely understand that you can experience these versions right here and now because it's about being conscious and aware. And we believe that some people are not conscious and aware enough to experience them now. So yes, this is hell for some people. And it's heaven for others. So I hope that helped in clearing up my views on heaven and hell. And until we meet again, I'll leave you in Hotep, peace, and namaste.